Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm Glenn Martin. I'm joined by my co-host, James Haskell. And, well, the anticipation, the build-up was finally kind of relieved last night by the Ravens getting what I think is to be their guy in Patrick Queen. We celebrated that in other videos, but this video in particular, we're going to talk about what's left, what are some areas where we still think they need to attack. Because, honestly, this might even be a bigger day than yesterday. They had 4 picks today, 2 in the second, 2 in the third. They only had 1 yesterday. So they're adding 4 times the amount of players today than they added yesterday. So, obviously, this is a huge, huge day. So in this video, we're going to break down, the wish list, who we want them to still go after, which positions we think they need to attack first in the 2 second-round picks, and then where we think they'll go in the 2 third-round picks. So, I guess, Jimmy, what do you think? Where do you think they got 55 and 60 in the second round? So they're picking 23rd and 28th in the second round today. So with that in mind, seeing as though they just took middle linebacker, where do you think they need to go at 55 and 60 going forward here?
This one's hard for me because you've got to think about what you want, what you need, and where you're picking, right? And the players that are going to be available. So, and how soon those positions will start to come off the board. So I think that as far as need, my opinion, just like it was in the first round, I think our number one need is interior offensive linemen. That's my number one need. I think that should be our first priority in the second round, period. Lock down a stud, plug-and-play interior offensive lineman. I think that's crucial. Aside from that, just to give you some other needs or wishes, if you will, in order of importance, offensive lineman, wide receiver, and then edge rusher are my 3. Top 3 out of today. If we can come out with one of those in every position, I would be thrilled. In fact, I think today, like you mentioned at the beginning, we're going to see a lot more fireworks than we did in the first round. It was kind of boring. There weren't a ton of trades. It wasn't boring. It was still the draft, but it wasn't full of fireworks. I think second and third round is going to be crazy, especially the Ravens. Like you said, having those 4 picks is going to be intense. That's right. I just did jazz fingers.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think what's cool, I guess one other position I'd throw in there is I wouldn't mind seeing them come away with a running back today also, just thinking about the future. But I agree with the other positions of need. And I'll say this about interior offensive line. We only saw 1 interior offensive lineman go yesterday. And that was your guy, Cesar Ruiz. So, to me, I mean, all the other top interior offensive linemen are still available. So, if I'm a Ravens fan, so I'm pretty excited about that. I mean, you look at who's still out there. The guys we liked with John Simpson still being out there. I'm a big John Simpson guy. A lot of people are high on Damian Lewis out of LSU, the guard. Ben Bredesen, who is ranked by our lads as the number 1 guard in the entire draft out of Michigan. We know that the ties to Michigan. So there's still a lot of opportunity to get a quality day 1 starter in the interior offensive line. Another guy who I look to that I think will be an absolute steal will be Robert Hunt out of Louisiana.
Yeah.
6'5", 323. I believe he played tackle for the majority in his college career, but most anticipate he's going to be moving to guard. Let's see. Yeah, he did start 21 games at left tackle and 22 games at left guard. So he's done both. But man, yeah, there's some obvious talent there. Now, so when you're looking at wide receiver, on the other hand, who do you look at wide receiver that you think that's still out there that you think could add to this team?
I have 2 names as far as wide receiver goes, but really quickly, I just want to touch on what you mentioned as far as offensive linemen. After we moved away from Cesar Ruiz, I went through the heartache of that and emotionally
mourned a little bit.
It hurt, but I woke up this morning. It was a new day, and I'm starting to fall hard again.
Okay, who you falling with?
Ben Bredesen.
Okay, all right.
The kid is 6'5", 325 pounds. The thing that I like about him is a 4-time letter winner. In order to be a letter winner, you have to start, you have to be available and start at least 13 games.
And that's the 4 years he did that?
4 years in a row. So the Ravens want durability, especially on the inside. He is a mauler. He rocks that old school raised, shoulder pad in the back, like that collar. Yeah. He's just a dog, man. He played, this is what I'm hoping. maybe he was the reason that Cesar Ruiz was who people think he was.
Maybe
Just
so.
saying.
Maybe so.
So, but as far as wide receivers go, two names come to my mind. We've mocked him before, Pittman and T. Higgins. Those two are still sitting on the board. Mims is still sitting on the board. I think he's going to be gone. I think he's going to be, in the top 5 of the second round. I don't think he lasts any longer than that. Now, like we said, we could get aggressive and move up if we really like a guy because we got a ton of ammunition in these 2 rounds. But as far as realistically, if we're standing pat, T. Higgins and Pittman, I could totally see both there at 55 or even 60. And I think we would be thrilled to have either of those guys, and I think they would fit our system well. What about you?
Yeah, I think again, this is a draft that's full of talented wide receivers, and even though we saw 6 go in the first round, there's still a ton left. I mean, you mentioned Michael Pittman, Denzel Mims, but how about Laviska Shenault out of Colorado, who I think would be a heck of an addition? A lot of people compare KJ Hamler favorably to Hollywood. Now, the thing that worries me about KJ Hamler is he can sometimes have the drops, which as a wide receiver scares the heck out of me. But then there's another guy, Chase Claypool out of Notre Dame, that a lot of people are high on. Let's see, we have Antonio Gandy-Golden, who, even though he's coming out of a small school in Liberty, is getting a lot of hype about what he can become in the next level. So there's just a ton of guys still out there that people had first and second round grades on, and I think they can get an impact player. So again, it's an exciting day. I mean, I might be more excited about today than I was even about yesterday.
Seriously, the other thing I'll mention too is think about all the good backs. I didn't even mention running backs in my top 3, but think about all the good backs and value you can get in the second and third round. A couple names as well. You got Swift out of Georgia, Jonathan Taylor out of Wisconsin. If I'm not mistaken, there was only one back taken in the first round by the Chiefs, which is scary in and of itself. But at the end of the day, look, I think adding a blue chip linebacker to a blue chip running back to our running back room is just as scary as Kansas City adding a guy like that. So, there's a lot of value
and
there.
There's a ton left.
I can see us going. What'd you say?
Yeah, there's a ton left. I mean, I look at what Antonio Gibson could bring to this offense. Yep. You could probably get him in the 3rd or 4th round. And that's not even mentioning what Dobbins, Taylor, Akers, your guy Moss, A.J. Dillon, who I don't really think fits here, but is a heck of an athlete and a great player. But the other area I wanted to talk about, was edge rusher, because I think there's still a ton of edge rush talent out there. And I know there's some guys that we talk about that we mock to us leading up, and Terrell Lewis was one of them. And man, I tell you what, if you could add a guy like Terrell Lewis to this to this defense opposite Judon, it could be awfully scary.
What's your feeling? How far do you think he falls? Or let me ask you this: do you think that Epinesa and Bond, do you think they and Yetur, Gross Matos, do you think those 3 go before Terrell Lewis?
I don't think so. I don't think Terrell Lewis. I mean, I'd love Terrell Lewis to be there, but I don't think he will be there at 55.
At 55?
I think in order to get him, I think the Ravens are going to have to move up. He's just got too much raw talent. Now, I know people point to his injuries, but outside of his injuries, there's really nothing else to point to that would tell you, that he's not going to make it. I mean, that's a big thing, the injuries. I'll give you that. But, man, I just feel like he would fit. He looks like a Raven. He's from Alabama. He just screams Raven to me. But, if they couldn't get him, what do you think about a guy like Zach Bond in the second round? Because he's 6'2", 238, so he doesn't have that Ravens ideal size. But do you think it's a good enough value in the second round to still take a shot at a guy if he's available at 55?
Oh man, I've been watching. I've been going back and forth teetering on Zach Bond because I totally understand your fit, like your scheme fit, your traditional fit, but I'm going to say yes. As far as second round goes and value goes, I think that if he's there, you got to snag him because Martindale will, any good coach doesn't take his scheme and try and make his players fit it. He takes his players and builds a scheme around them. I'm not saying we're going to, start our defense from scratch if we take Zach Bond and it's worth doing all that. But I think Martindale is creative enough and smart enough to make it worth or to utilize his speed and the things that he does well. So I was low on Zach Bond. A lot of it had to do with that reason, but I'm feeling good about him. In the second round, I'm pulling the trigger, and I'm feeling great about it.
Yeah, and he's not the only one that's out there. I mean, I think Yetur Gross-Matos would fit the Raven. He's got the ideal size and athleticism. I think it would take AJ Epinesa. He doesn't scream athlete to you, I guess. Well, I guess he does. He's 6'5", 275. I mean, I guess it's a pretty outstanding athlete, but he just doesn't have the speed. But he does have the strength and heavy hands that you would need. Now, one guy I heard you had mocked to us a while ago that's still out there and could definitely be available in the third round, so either 92 or 106. What about Bradley Anae? I mean, he's still out there. He's a production machine. What do you think if the Ravens were able to grab him in the third?
Yeah, that would be huge. I mean, I think that would be a great value there. I'm interested to see how low he falls because these edge rushers, obviously people didn't think very highly of them because outside of Chase Young and Chason out of LSU, no one else went in the first round, and you didn't hear a ton of stuff about him. So I'm interested to see how low these guys start to fall. Who knows? We might end up being able to get Anae like we did Judon in the in that fifth round range. I mean, that's crazy to think about, but the longer these guys above him stay on the board, the chances of him falling lower and us getting more value there increase. And I think he could come in and start. I think he could take Jalen Ferguson's job. I think he could outplay Jihad Ward from day one.
Yeah, I mean, Jihad Ward might have a leg up against the run in the beginning, but I think day one pass rusher, he's better than both those guys, and Anae is. And yeah, I think the thing about the pass rush, I think it's gonna be one of those things where whoever starts the run, they'll all go. They could go really quickly. So, one team could start to grab, and then, Epinesa could go, and then a team sees that, and they go grab Gross-Matos or Anae or Terrell Lewis. I think it could be like one of those things where it just becomes a run of edge rushers. But one other position that we've had mocked to us that I think is surprising that not a single player got taken here in the first round, and that's safety. I mean,
people thought I was crazy. People thought I was crazy when I said Chin at 106, I think is what I mocked him at in one of our picks, or 90 or 92. I couldn't remember which one it was offhand. But look, if not a single safety, the LSU safety, the Alabama safety, the McKinley, Grant, I always forget his last name, Dillip.
Oh, the Utah guy, Julian Blackman.
All these guys are rated ahead of Chin. Just saying.
Yep.
I mean,
yeah, you're right. I mean, the fact that no safeties got taken, I thought was pretty shocking. I mean, to me, it was shocking.
And a corner was taken 3. I thought that was really high for – I mean, I know they needed it, but a corner at 3 is still really high to me. So a lot of different opinions in the secondary, and people obviously aren't very high on the safeties in this draft.
No, I mean, when you consider, what is it, how many corners went? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Do you 4 or 5?
Let's see, the Raiders, the Lions. Who else you got?
Let me just say this. Okudah went. Henderson went. Terrell. AJ Terrell went. Noah, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, went. A lot of guys went. So you're right. It's shocking that corners went on such a run, and yet nobody even took the best available safety. So it's kind of surprising. So I think there could be some value at safety down the line. But either way, it's going to be for an exciting night. I can't wait. I want to see offense, honestly, tonight. I want to see offense. I want to see interior offensive line. I want to see wide receiver. I want to see running back. I think we have a track record of being able to add pass rushers late in the draft, 5th round and beyond, that is maybe the best in the league. So I think we can wait on pass rush. Tonight, I want to see offense, Jimbo. What do you want?
Wow. So, I can't disagree with you. I want to see O-line, wide receiver, running back, I wouldn't be upset with. But I do want to see us address the edge. However, I also agree with your point there. I think that if we can come out of tonight with O-line addressed, with wide receiver addressed, and with running back addressed, and Anae falls to the 5th.
Or the 4. Remember, we got 2 4s, right?
Yeah. Right? So he falls to 4. My gosh. I mean, look, it'd be sweet. It'd be awesome. I think if we get one O-line with the 4 picks, if we get one O-lineman, one wide receiver, one running back, and we can even swing twice at wide receiver earlier. right?
Yeah, why not? We need help at wideout. Obviously,
Right, and then you get a second O lineman in the fourth along with a pass rusher.
And you know what's funny about wide receiver, just real quick, is that we kind of we look at the receiver position. We say Ozzie didn't take enough shots. Ozzie didn't draft enough wideouts. And even Eric DeCosta mentioned that. But what's funny is the position we've taken the most receivers at in the history of our draft pick is wide receiver. We've taken more wide receivers than any other position in our history. It just doesn't feel that way because we didn't take a ton of top-end receivers. We took we took a lot of our shots later in the draft. And it is obviously a receiver where you do carry a lot of. It's not like quarterback where you only carry 2 to 3. You're going to carry 6 wideouts. So, I just find interesting that a lot of people assume that we just didn't take a lot of wideouts, but we have in our past. But all right, well, that's it for this one, Jimmy, unless you have anything else.
No, that is it. Just make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you give us a like and you follow and stay up to date because we're going to be doing instant reactions on every single pick today and giving our grade out as soon as that pick is made. So let's hope for some fireworks, see what happens, and hopefully we get these spots filled up and go into the season strong.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. Can't wait.